Hello everyone, my name is Anna Malzewski and I am the knitter, the author, and the pattern designer behind the blog Knitting Up a Storm. Welcome to my podcast, KUAS Podcast. If you are a new viewer, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and deciding to chat with me for a little bit. It is Monday, November 6th, and this is episode 11. We have finally reached the double digits, and I'm happy to continue podcasting about my adventures. It's been a crazy, crazy month. For us, October entails our boys turning a different age. This year they turned 7. Piano parties, class parties, Halloween. We did a bathroom renovation, a very small one. We patched the poles and painted the walls and put new decor in there. So it wasn't like gutting the whole bathroom, but we did all that stuff before all the shenanigans at the end of October. So I am so glad that it's November and things are dying down just a little bit. And I have been a little bit quiet, but I have been knitting furiously. So I'm happy to share with you all of my work in progresses, my completed progresses, and my wish knits. So let's start with let's start with my finished objects. So the first completed object that I technically don't have to show you, but I'll insert a picture between the video, is my Roundabout Shawlette number 3. I completed this in the middle of October, so it's been off the needles for a while, and I published the pattern. So I have knit 3 versions, and I had test knitters, and I was so happy to publish that pattern along with my Beacon Hill mittens and the Infinity scarf. Good morning. It is Thursday, October 19th. And I'm about to send these off to the person who commissioned them. I believe I mentioned in the first podcast when I was talking about these Shawlettes that I gifted the Roundabout Shawlette number 1 to a family friend, and this year she contacted me and asked for 2 more of these to gift to her friends for Christmas. And so they are completed. It's so bittersweet because I've knit 3 of these and I don't get to keep any of them. And they're so beautiful. I'll have to knit another one in possibly a solid colorway or a tonal colorway to really let the lace stick out. This is knit using KnitPick's Hawthorne multicolored yarn. Oh, that's the coffee maker shutting off. And it gives off a nice zigzag, which is nice for the garter. I just rather have a solid color for the lace. So to make this look more presentable, I'm going to wrap it up. I have this nice tag here saying who it's knit by, that it's hand knit, and care instructions. You'll want to make sure that they know that this is 100% wool. Don't machine wash it, and how to take care of it when they do wash it. The next time you're at your local yarn store, try to pick up a handful of these because it's really nice to give them something proper to wash their wools in, so they're not using detergent, which can be kind of harsh on the colorway. It might fade it faster, and also they'll be harsher washing it because it takes quite a bit of effort to get all that detergent out. So these are about 75 cents, maybe $1, and so it's kind of nice to just include at least one of them with it. And that looks like a nice little package there, right? So the tags were made out of this. I got this at Tuesday morning, and I believe it's scrapbook paper. So you'll want something, you know, with a nice design that's thick enough to kind of hold up. And I chose 2 colors that were complementary to each other, which is this and this, because they have, you can't see it in this picture, but they both have like this minty green in it. It doesn't really matter, but I like having colors tie in with each other. And I used a little bit of string. I didn't knot it in a way where they'll have to use scissors, so they could just pull this open and it'll come right off. Last thing you want them to do is cut the lace. That would be awful. I used this, which has seen better days. I believe I got this at Michael's. And I used the second smallest one and then the next size up. And that way I didn't have to use a ruler or anything. So yeah, I'm off to the post office to deliver this. And next up, I'll be at the library picking out a Norwegian colorwork book so that I can start working more on my Christmas sweater. That is Tin Can Knit's Strange Brew pattern. So I'm going to plug in some colorwork and get started on that. The Sabi Hat, which is from OlgaJazzy Knits. This is a very nice pattern that has this zigzagging texture. It's a bunch of yarn overs and decreases, and I actually ran out of yarn for this project, even though I had more yarn than suggested. I used Zealana Rimu yarn. It's a DK weight, and this yarn is a little exotic. I don't think I realized how exotic it was. I knew that it was a Merino blend with something else, but I didn't realize, or at least I forgot after purchasing it, that this was 40% bushtail possum. Yes, bushtail possum. Who has a bushtail possum blend? That's so odd to me. I mean, I've seen baby alpaca and all sorts of other animals, but bushtail possum. Let me read a little bit from the back of the tag. Not only does Zealana yarn make a great project grader, its production helps make New Zealand's ecosystem a lot healthier. To learn more about the impacts of non-native species and our nationwide efforts to sustainably manage New Zealand's bushtail possum population, visit this website. I don't know about you, but it sounds like they're slaughtering these animals and taking the fiber. I have not researched this, but after knitting this up, I don't think I read this tag before knitting it up, but after. And now I don't know how I feel about this yarn. It says that bushtail possums consume 21,000 metric tons every 24 hours. And there's a 4.4 million human population to 70 million in New Zealand to the bushtail possum. It sounds like they're invading the New Zealand's beloved kiwi face habitat. So, I don't know, to me it sounds like they're killing these animals. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. But, I mean, I already knit up the hat, so it's not like I'm going to toss it out. But, yeah, this is the Performa series by Zealana Rimu. It says it's machine washable. It was a little bit pricey. I remember this one skein costing 18 bucks or something like that. So for barely knitting up this pattern, it was a little bit pricey. But it's a beautiful teal colorway with, I don't know if you can see the halo, but it's got that mohair type of halo to it. I knit that hat using my US 5 Chiaogu bamboo needles. So I just love how flexible this cable is. The tip on these needles are pointy, so it was really helpful to have that for knitting all those decreases. So I do recommend these needles, Chiaogus. The pattern, I had a hard copy of this that I got at Stitches Midwest. So I bought the pattern and also the yarn from the same vendor. It's very, very, very simple. There's only about 4 rounds that are unique instructions to the chart. The rest are repetitions of a certain round So like round 1 will go on for about 10 rounds, and then round 11 will be just slightly tweaked, and then round 12 will be a new type of zigzagging chart, and then you repeat that for another 10 rounds. So there's 22 rounds, and I was able to do 3 zigzags completely, and then I could only do 3 rounds of the next portion of the zigzag before I had to immediately decrease my stitches. I was seriously playing yarn chicken and I almost ran out. So I'm glad that I did not do any more rounds, although at the very end I had enough yarn for 1 more round, and I'm like, oh, I could have done 1 more and it would have been a little bit longer. Yeah, we always say that retrospectively. Next, I have knit all these fall leaves. So these are English oak leaves that I got from naturalsuburbia.com. It's a very easy pattern. I tweaked it slightly. The pattern asked you to knit the base of the leaf, and then after completing the leaf, then you would pick up some stitches and then do the I-cord. I started with the I-cord, and then it was only 3 stitches, and so when I got to the base of the leaf, I just knit the pattern as is, and it's fully connected, and I didn't have to muss with picking up any stitches. So I highly recommend this pattern. I'll put the information in the detail box below me. I knit 3 of them. One is WoolEase. The next is TreeFrog yarn. I think that's what it is. It's sport weight, so it's a little too loose because the needles were too large. And also this is KnitPick's, can't remember which type of yarn this is, but I believe this is from KnitPick's. I'll put that information in the down bar. So those were knit using US 5 needles. They were a very quick project. I plan on knitting another type of leaf. Oh, I didn't show this one. This is the veined leaf from Centergone, and it's a bunch of reverse stockinette that has been switched ever so often so that you get this nice ribbed effect. I just love the center vein and the I-cord stem. It looks realistic, pretty much. I have to knit some sort of red leaf, whether it's maroon or orangey red, or I just need a red leaf because it's missing that, don't you think? So it might be a maple leaf, it might be something that I've already knit, but there's going to be a red leaf because I really need that in my collection. Okay, so I have one more completed object to share with you, and that's Sven Scandinavian. So Sven got a little bit more added to his beard. I put a little bit of, I guess, the section higher up so that when he wore his stocking cap, there wasn't so much of a gap between his cheeks and the hat. I kind of wanted that bushy beard look all the way to his stocking cap. I have completed his boots since the last time we've talked, and his mittens. I accidentally switched something in the mitten section and the thumb isn't really pronounced, but it's okay. So his hat. His hat is the leftover yarn from my Regia design line by Arnie and Carlos. This is the Summer Nights colorway, and he's getting the leftover scraps from my socks. And I absolutely love this color work, which it looks Scandinavian, for his stocking cap. And I really only have, I would say, an hour or two left of work, maybe less, because I'm in the decrease section and it's just gonna fly off my needles. So let's see if I put this on him. He will look something like this. And then his stocking cap that will be pointy, and it has a little pom-pom at the end. And I just adore him. This was Carol A. Anderson's Sven Scandinavian pattern that I had to buy the hard copy of. Somewhere on her site, I don't know if it's in the booklet or on her site, it said that after she runs out of the publications that she has in stock, she's not going to reprint this. So you might want to grab this if you like my Sven and you want to knit him up. It's not available digitally, so you have to grab the hard copy and pay the shipping, unfortunately. But it's a nice little book, and there's little tidbits. Let's see. It talks about names that you can name your Scandinavian friend, and there's little cutesy drawings and the philosophy in knitting and stuff about the gender and character development and all that good stuff. So it's not just the pattern, it's a nice little book. Yeah, it's by Cottage Creations, so you could type in that name and find Sven, along with other knitted dolls that she has created. This project is still living in my Halloween project bag that I sewed up maybe 2 years ago, I believe. This is my first project bag, so it's a little bit special. I even added the pocket back then. I don't even fuss with that now. I just do the most simple, basic project bag now. I mean, this is the thickest bag I have ever made because the inside had really thick lining that was like, it resembled polyfill. So it's very squishy. But anyways, yes, so the hat, the leaves, and Sven, and now I have some work in progresses to share with you. So aside from the stocking cap, I started a Christmas sweater. So here is the first sleeve, and I use Berroca's Vintage DK. I caked up 2 of them. And I have 2 more skeins of this white color. I don't even think there's a name for it. It's just color 2101. So I decided to do white as my main color and red for all of the color work. So the pattern that I chose to use for this was a Strange Brew by Tin Can Knits. And this is knit using size US 3s and US 6 for the rest of this. The first time I knit the first sleeve, I accidentally continued knitting all the way to here in US 3 until I realized, oh wait, I was supposed to switch over to larger needles. So I had to rip it all the way back to the ribbing, which, I mean, it was only a couple days worth of work, but still, it's sad to spend that much time and then have to rip it all the way back. Luckily, I didn't mess up the ribbing at all when I ripped everything back, so it landed right at the end of the ribbing, and I was able to just switch my needles and continue on. So I actually knit this for 19 inches instead of 18. Because I like my sleeves just a little bit longer than most patterns say or call for. So I have started the second sleeve, and I have about, what, 15 inches left. And then after that, I will cast on for the body. And meanwhile, I have to figure out what I'm going to do with the red color work. I was thinking I would do stars along the main section of the yoke and then some sort of design around it. I was entertaining the idea of doing trees for the main part of the yoke. So I went to the library and checked out all the books that had Scandinavian color work, and unfortunately I couldn't find the book that I had looked at previously at the library. I think it was checked out, or I'm just hallucinating and thought that they had something that they never did. I'm still between Pinterest and the library and all the places that I've looked for color work. I have not yet settled on a pattern for the yoke. So while I'm knitting the body, I'm really gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do. The pattern is really a plug and play type of pattern where they tell you how many stitches, of course, but they also tell you how many rounds of that pattern you need. And then the next section of the yoke is a certain amount of rounds. And so it really helps you create your own type of pattern using this plug and play method. And yeah, you could call it your own pretty much. So I'm sticking with only 2 colors. And I really think that this will look very nice in December. Hopefully I finish it toward the beginning of December so that I can wear it all month long, because red and white really screams holiday colors, and I don't know how much use it's gonna get in January. Yeah, maybe I should have done white and blue, I guess. But anyways, I'm excited to finish the second sleeve and start the body, and I'm just gonna have to get that brain cranked up and settling on some sort of colorwork idea. So this was, like I said, Vintage DK. It's washable, and these are not needles that I use. It's one of those really plasticky, it clings to, the yarn clings to the cable, so I would never use this for knitting. I'm hoping that this slides off. It's really clinging. I used my KnitPick's nickel coated needles that were the interchangeable set, and I've been a little bit frustrated with that set because it keeps unscrewing itself even though I use the key. It's a really old set. I've had it for maybe 12 years, maybe 13. And so I think I might need a new set. I tried looking for a fixed needle set, but unfortunately KnitPick doesn't make really long cables for the sizes that I need that are beyond sock sizes. So hopefully one day KnitPick will get on that and sell it, because people like using the magic loop for hats and sweaters and all that, and you need the long cable. So I think I'm gonna have to buy some sort of Chiagu or the like type of needles, because they sell the longer cable needle that's flexible. So I'm still using my yarn bowl that I got from Darn Good Yarns, and it's just keeping everything from flying around. So we'll have to move on to wish knits, because I have taken so many things off my needles. It's crazy. So let's move along to wish knits. So Tiny Owl Knits has this wonderful hat called Wolf Pup, I believe, and I am finally going to buy the pattern and knit it up. I bought 2 skeins of Yarn Bee in Andes. The color is called Fog, I believe. Yes, Fog. And each skein is 120 yards, so this should be more than enough for the project. And I have bought a pom-pom for the top of the hat. I believe this color is similar to hers. And then, even though this is not matching, I believe she also has gray pom-poms for the I-cord or the braided string for the bottom of the hat, the ear portion. And I also have this faux fur to line the inside of the hat that you draw up, and it's kind of like buttoned to the top of your hat. So this will show right here. I also have some fleece fabric for doing the lining for the inside of the hat, because I'm not going to do the entire part of the hat in this craft fur. At least I don't think I'm going to do that. This isn't enough. So I'm going to do this for part of the hat, and then the rest of it will be this gray fleece. So it will be a very warm hat. So I'm really looking forward to knitting this up because it looks really quick. Also, I have been lusting over the Drops Design Holly Jolly Steps. Now this is a black and white photo, but it's red and white. Oh look, we're red and white. So I'm going to knit this in red and white. I have 4 skeins, 2 in each color. It's Encore DK from Plymouth Yarns. So we have white and red, and these are just colors 174 and 256. Each skein has 150 yards, so I have plenty of yardage for mittens or this pattern. So the question is, do I really want mittens or do I want this? If I don't use these colors for this project, I will use possibly like teal and gray or teal and brown. I might frog my brioche scarf that I started a long time ago and use that yarn for the slippers. So also, I have had this yarn for many, many years. When I say many, I was in college and I graduated from college in 2004. So I think I've had this yarn since 2003, I think. This was back in the day when I was dyeing yarn and I was in contact with, what's her name? Erica Loiter. She's the one that created the design Hermione's Everyday Socks. So she dyed yarn and she made that pattern, and so I was in contact with some people that are still dyeing to this day. So this colorway is called Ratatouille, and I'm thinking that these will make excellent Thanksgiving socks if I could get myself to knit a pair of socks in time. Her yarn comes with a nice little stitch marker in an earth type of stone. It's very nice. It matches the yarn. So I am looking forward to using this. It's 2-ply superwash sock yarn and it's 400 yards. And it also has some Christmassy tones to it, red and green. I know there's brown, but this could be pulled off as Christmas socks too. But I am thinking of dyeing self-striping yarn in Christmas colors, and I'm thinking about selling some. So you might be seeing a post pretty soon about an Etsy shop update, and I haven't opened my Etsy shop in a really, really long time. I stopped dyeing yarn before the boys were born. So when I was at the library picking up books for Norwegian color work, I also picked up a few extras, like this book, which has a really nice baby sweater. Granted, I'm not pregnant, I don't have babies anymore, and I don't know anyone who's pregnant, but I have to knit this sweater. I mean, the detail on the sleeve is so unique along with the neckline. I just have to knit this up. I'm crazy, I know. Also, I picked up the book Pretty Knitted Hands, and this is from, let's see, Clara Falk and Camilla Svanlund. I could be pronouncing that wrong. So the red and white gloves that I might knit up, I think will be in this pattern. Sam. Now it's a little difficult to see in this picture. It's very clear on the chart, but I don't want to show the chart because it's copyrighted. So there's a star here, and also a star right here, and the back, like the palm of the hand, is that standard main color, contrasting color, you know, all across the whole palm. So there's no stars or anything, it's just that. I also was thinking about knitting up Martha and also Astrid. They're just nice wintry colors. Doesn't scream Christmas, but it screams winter. So yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this book. And also this other book that I checked out again from the library because Outlander has come out. The season 2 has come out. And like you do, you knit up the Sassenach cowl. Where is it? Although I would use darker yarn, it would be a deep brown color. Thinking about knitting that up. Also the boot cuffs. And maybe another pattern eventually. So I'm looking for really quick knits because I have more than enough to do. When I was visiting my local yarn store, I picked up these very cute stitch markers. They're heart-shaped, and I just really enjoy stitch markers that don't have dangly bits because it twists on the wrong side and then you have to muss and fuss, and it's just nice having stitch markers that just slide right out and over and you don't have to do any extra steps. And also this jasmine scented no rinse wool wash, and it's just, it's heavenly. This reminds me of the jasmine tea that Caribou Coffee had, and Caribou Coffee is a sore subject because they pulled out of our town years ago, and I haven't had Caribou Coffee in a really long time. And I just discovered the jasmine green tea that they sold, and I can't get my hands on it. So yes, I think that's it for acquired yarn and notions. Yeah, so I hope you guys are having a wonderful fall, and it's getting closer and closer to Thanksgiving. So I hope that you're happily knitting away and you have lots to do on the needles. And until next time, happy knitting. P.S. I will be reviewing 2 books that 6th and Spring sent me to review. So the first book will be 60 More Quick Baby Blankets, and also Seed Stitch Beyond Knit 1, Purl 1. It will be a prompt and answer type of giveaway. The winner's chosen at random. You'll answer the prompt and tell me which book you'd like to win. So check out the next video that I upload because it will be the book review and giveaway.